Hello and welcome back to my talk show. Let's talk about with Richa. And today we have an amazing woman on our show as a guest. Welcome, Carolyn Bishop. I'm so honored to have you on my show.
Thanks, Richa. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really, really grateful you invited me.
Yeah, we've been connected for a few years now, and we connected during COVID online, but I feel I know you very well. But would you please introduce yourself to my audience so we get to know you better and all the exciting things that you do?
Oh, thank you. Of course. I am known as the Business with Balance coach. I have been working with female entrepreneurs in the coaching industry and the direct sales industry and the service-based industry for many, many years. I was originally a high school teacher and got interested in doing a side business way back when for a little extra money and ended up falling in love with it and having a lot of success within my first year. I was at the top of the company within the first year after starting, and it was part-time. And so that resulted in a lot of invitations for me to speak and teach because people had seen me move up very, very quickly while I was even working full time.
Mm.
And it brought me to a place where I was realizing that what I was doing, there were a lot of gaps missing for other people, and that there were these phenomenal women who had so many skills and so many talents and so many great products or opportunities or programs to share with the world that weren't getting them out there in the way that they wanted,
Mm.
and that they weren't reaching the people that they knew that it could positively impact their lives.
Mm.
And so I got really passionate about the teaching and the coaching piece of it. And so eventually decided, after having a really successful career in direct sales, along with my teaching job, to then also get certified as a business coach.
Yeah.
And I started building what's called the Breakthrough with Balance Academy. And that is my program now. I am no longer teaching. I have two kids. I'm married, travel a lot, and just have a lot of other things going on in my life, but always feel that business with balance, where your personal life is the priority, is always the key, not only to success in your life, but success in your business,
Yeah.
because it keeps you happy, it keeps you flowing, and it also makes it a lot of fun to work with your clients when you are living a life that you really love.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
kind of
That
a
is
short form of me.
yeah, yeah, but it's amazing. I mean, you reach out to so many people, and as I said, I've been following you and connecting with you for the past, I think, 3, 4 years, and I've seen like the way you talk and present and connect, and it all comes from the heart. So, and I think what you were touching upon, the balance part, is something that a lot of women struggle with because I think they start out, as many start out with as a side hustle, but I feel that sometimes it takes over. So it's amazing what you are doing. But could you talk more about the program and what is it that how do you work with these women and how do you, what kind of techniques and what are the services that you
Yeah,
provide?
thank you. Thank you for asking that. So, what I realized when I was going through my own journey, and I like to call it a roller coaster. I had a lot of very fast success, and that was why I was getting invited to teach and speak. And then I would get all involved in the teaching and speaking, and I would be traveling and going and speaking at events, and then coming back, and then I'd be like, oh my gosh, my kids, I got to really spend time with them. And I had this like bouncing back and forth between all the different things in my life. And it felt like my business was doing a roller coaster. And it took me a while. It brought me to a point. I can remember this so clearly. I was sitting at my desk in my office, and it was that time of day where, like, the sun's going down enough that if you're staring at your computer screen too long, you look up and suddenly it's like pitch black in the room. It was that time of day. And I was staring at my bank account.
Mm.
What I was looking at was not good. There was a little bit of money there, but I had like my team to pay. I had our joint account I needed to put money into. My daughter's a dancer, so there's always those. My son's a competitive basketball player. Now he's off to college, so that's done in terms of that. But there were always these bills, these things. I'm sure we all have them, right? That there
Yeah.
was a certain amount that I needed to put into our joint account, and it wasn't anywhere close what I was
Mm.
staring at
Mm.
in my bank account that day. And I just remember this pit that was like forming in my stomach, coming up to my throat, and I was like, why am I here again? And it wasn't so much about the worry about getting the money because I had learned these sales systems and knew how to generate it very quickly. But
Mm,
the frustration of going, why am I here? What is with this roller coaster? Like now that I see my bank account, I know I have to go do this and work that, but why am I not doing this consistently?
mm,
And it brought me to really looking at my history, my past, and then all the people that I had been leading through the business and really diagnosing kind of like when we're flowing, when we're successful, when we are feeling that consistency and things feel simple.
mm,
What is it? What is it that I was missing? What was it that they were missing? And then also looking at when everything's great, what is it that's all in place? And so that brought me to figuring out what I call the pillar path.
okay.
And it is the core basis, it's the pillars of a really good sales system. And it's really good in terms of two sides of it. There's a lot of programs will focus on the business owner side of it. Here's how you sell. This is what you need. These are the skills you need. And it's very cerebral. It's very like tactical. And that's kind of what I call the system sales side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side of it, there's also the piece where you've got the balance and your life and what's your personality and who you are and who you be. And if we take a system that doesn't match with who we are,
Yeah.
that can cause roller coasters.
Okay.
Or if we take a system that kind of doesn't fit our life,
Mm,
then the inconsistency in the sales can happen.
yeah.
And so what I see is there's three main problems is that in the core pillars, either people are missing pillars,
Mm,
or they are disconnected. They can have all five pillars, but they're not connected well.
mm,
Or the third thing is that those pillars, even if you have them all and they're connected, if they're not personalized to match who
mm,
you are and the life you live, then it can feel like that hustle and that grind, no matter how good the system is.
mm.
And so, yeah, and
Very
I can go a
interesting.
little bit deeper
And
into
it,
each of them if you'd like, but yeah.
no, it's very interesting. It matches what I always say, your business is kind of an extension of you. So as you're saying, if the system doesn't match your personality and the way you're used to or want to live your life, it will be a hustle. That's why, yeah, it's an eye opener. It's a kind of aha, yes, of course.
Yeah.
It makes sense when you say it like that. And I think there are still women who experience what you did, the roller coaster. And I was just talking to a few during the summit recently that they were experiencing exactly the same. It's not difficult to have the sale, but that's not where they're passionate, so they don't keep that consistency there, and suddenly they're out of clients, and then they have
And
to
then it
start it
can
again.
result in self-doubt, and we can start to go, what's wrong with me? Maybe it's my program, maybe it's my product, maybe I need to fix things. Or we can
Or the
start to go, well,
price.
I'll just put it on sale. And then
Yeah,
we undervalue
yeah,
ourselves, or we're
yeah,
over delivering,
yeah,
trying to make it really good. And all of that, that's that roller coaster. And what
yeah.
we want to have is consistent flow and a consistent um, just being able to work in our day to day, loving our life, loving our business,
Hmm.
being able to work with the right people and having that consistent flow. And that comes from having the complete pillars, the connected pillars, and the personalized pillars is a big piece as well. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
amazing. That's amazing.
yeah.
Wow, and I understand you have also a Facebook group. That's where we kind of met, and I loved being a part of it. I used to be very active in it and once in a fun of time. But yeah, I love that community that you have created and that
Mhm.
safe space where women, express themselves and ask you and get a little glimpse of you when you do your lives and everything. So everybody who's watching, check the Facebook group out. We're gonna definitely put the link in, so if you want to connect, you can go and join the group. for
Yeah,
me.
it's a beautiful collection of women who are professional. A lot of them have professional backgrounds and have come into a business world. And a lot of very positive women. That is something you'll notice, like my branding is pinks and blues and brights. That's very purposeful to attract the personalities who are, very positive and forward moving, because that's why we do business. Or at least I know that's why my clientele, the people that are in my world, we do business because it's making a positive impact in the lives of others. It's letting incredible women who have incredible skills and just backgrounds and beliefs that they can change the world in small ways that then have big impact. And when you're passionate about what you do like that, we want it to have flow and ease to be
Mm.
able to share it with the world, because that's when we can show up as our true selves, right? Like we know when we're stressed or when we're going, it's not working, or I need to pay the bills this month. We don't show up in the same capacity. We don't show up the same way. So it is an amazing group of really positive women who are looking to make a positive impact in the
Yeah.
world with what they do, not just make a quick buck. They're here
No.
to really, do things that are going to better the lives of other people.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think it's the collective efforts of all the female entrepreneurs that will actually bring the change, which is bringing the change, and it's going faster and faster every year because there are more women, can feel that power of this unity that we have, I think. So you're talking about that you experienced all the stress and so on. So now that you have kind of found the system, and do you feel much more successful? And I would ask, how do you define success?
So for me, success is having I keep using the word flow. It keeps coming back up. That I think that word means so much to me, because it is about not just having a lot of money in the bank account. It's not just about having a lot of clients. Actually, I personally like to have less clients that I get to go deeper with than just having masses of people that I barely know.
Mm,
But so I think all of that, though, that's my definition. That's how I like to work with in my business. I like talking to people. I like getting to know them, because then we can personalize their sales path for
mm,
them.
mm,
And I think that's really what success is that you are living in a way that feels like it's flowing in both your business and your personal life, that it's all combined, that it's all together, that it's not one's having to, I have to choose one over the other or vice versa, but it is that in all areas of your life. I like to say faith, family, fitness, fun, health, food, freedom, like all of those, that you feel like you are living in a way that's in alignment with who you are, not
mm.
anything that you are being shoulded on. It's another phrase that I'm known for, is don't should on yourself.
Yeah.
And the idea of that there are so many thoughts and beliefs and different perspectives from anyone and everyone that's in our world, but that it's so important to check back in with ourselves,
Mm,
because that's where our true happiness is going to come from,
right.
is connecting in
Yeah.
and really leaning into who we be. Like you can see behind me the words be and achieve. One of my key beliefs is that if we be who we are, like really truly show up as our true selves in every piece of our life, that's when we'll achieve.
Mm,
That's when we can reach our highest levels of success,
mm,
because that authenticity, it's been, you'll hear the word authenticity, you hear the word she's real. People feel that, they connect with that.
mm.
And it also, it's easier.
Yeah.
It really is easier because you get to just be you. Like, I am so imperfect. I make so many mistakes. I have had so many things where, like, even knowing, the missing pieces of the pillar path, I'll get excited about something that I've just created and promoted. I'll be like, oh my gosh, does everybody want this? And I'm skipping like 3 steps on the pillar path. So even when we have the knowledge and that we're going to move forward imperfectly, but the key piece, and that's why I love the Business Women with Balance group, is that, you're surrounded by people who recognize, yes, I'm imperfect, but yes, I have something powerful.
Yeah.
And to me, that's that success is, I can be imperfect, but if I'm truly me, that's when I'm going to achieve my life of success in all
Mm,
areas.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's amazing because I interview a lot of women and I ask them all, how do you define success? And I don't think anyone say it's money in the bank.
Right.
Not single one since I started these interviews has said it's the money in the bank.
Yeah.
It's more of what the money can bring you, maybe, but it's that happiness, that feeling that I'm making an impact, or that I'm content when I go to bed and I feel, oh, I did something today, even if it is a small thing, that's success for many. So it's amazing that that is the red thread between almost everybody I have interviewed. This is nice.
Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
this question, and I love how people define it differently. So
Yes.
you have like different things you do. You just said you are a mother and a wife, and you find this balance and between your work and creativity and your clients, but also you speak. So how do you manage your time?
Well, this is one of my favorite questions, and it actually was the very first program that I ever started when I decided to branch beyond the leadership that I was doing in the direct sales industry and sort of get into coaching. And I was like, what am I good at? What am I? Somebody asked me this question, and I thought this was a brilliant question. Like, what do you do? And this is a great question to ask yourself for anybody who's listening. What do you do that other people go, how are you doing that?
Mhm.
That for you, it just feels simple and normal. But
And
other people are like, oh my gosh, I would love to be able to do that. How do you do that? So for me, one of the things was the sales and the selling. And I was like, I don't know. I had to dissect it and figure it out. Well, what was I doing? And then the other piece was kind of you could call it time management. I like to call it balance.
mm,
I've had two very, very active kids. They have just been the focus of my world for so long, along with my clients and my business. But my daughter's been a competitive dancer since she was 3. And so she was dancing up to 24 or 30 hours a week because she found her passion. And some people would say that's nuts, but we were always double checking, is she going to burn out? What's happening? But
mm.
she loves it. And she's now a junior in high school. She's 16 now and looking to be a professional dancer. So
Wow.
that travel involved with the competitions and all the practices and all the different coaches that we were driving her to. And then my son played pretty much every sport there was growing up. And one of my degrees from college was phys ed.
Mm.
So I would coach quite a bit of it when he was young, and then he got too good for me. I couldn't coach anymore. He needed other people in his world. But so I always wanted to be able to coach and teach and be a part of their life. And being a high school teacher in my past, I wanted to volunteer in the classroom and help the teachers because I knew how much they wanted. And then I would
Mm.
run the PTA and the running club at the schools and do all these different things. And so I would get asked a lot, how are you doing all this? And
Mm.
then, of course, because they're seeing me at the podium speaking in front of thousands of people and going, wait, you have a super successful business, but yet you're like volunteering in the classroom and teaching your kids and you're coaching their teams and you're traveling. My family's in Canada and I live in San Diego. So I'm constantly traveling as well to see them as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I'm always getting asked, how do you do it? And so that was a long way to start my answer to your question. Is number one, I think, is always making sure that anything I'm saying yes to is really aligning with who I be
Mm.
and what I want to achieve.
Mm.
And that can shift and change.
Yeah.
So I don't volunteer in the classroom anymore because that's not in alignment right now with what I'm wanting to achieve. I've kind
Mm.
of directed my attention more to getting the college experience for them and doing that research and finding out that. So what it's not like you have to define today who you are for the rest of your life, but it's always whenever those questions come in, whether it's to yourself or from someone else, do you want to be a part of this? Would you like to do this? Could
Mm.
you do this?
Mm.
A lot of times we can, as business owners, right? We are very capable women. We have leadership skills and abilities to accomplish tasks that maybe not a lot of other people in society have that same skill. And so
Right.
you might be a very sought after person, everybody who's listening to this, because they're like, oh, she'll get it done. She'll do a great job.
Exactly.
Um, but it is about really stepping back for a moment And so whenever I get asked about something, I say, thank you for asking me. I really, I'm honored that you think I can do a good job on that. Let me think about it. Can I get back to you? And so that is one thing I make a point of never deciding in the moment, unless it was something that already I was like, I hope they ask me. I hope they ask me. Right. And so I step back, take a moment, and then decide, is this really in alignment with what I want to be doing in my life right now and where I'm heading?
Mm.
Because everything takes time, everything takes energy, and we don't have endless supplies of that. Time gets
Wish
used
we
up,
had.
energy
I
gets
wish
used
we
up.
had.
Right, right. I wish. And we can replenish it,
Mm.
but we can't replace it. Right. So being very, very careful on what I say yes to is a big piece of it. And so no shoulding on myself. Oh, well, I should do that. I
Mm.
should volunteer. I should be here. I should say yes. I should do this. I'm very careful to watch that whenever that is coming into my head. I am double checking. Wait, am I shoulding on myself or do I really want to? And sometimes the want to is a want to, like, I want to do this role. And sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to do the role, but I do want the results that it's going to bring. So
Right.
there can be wants on different places of it, but making sure anything I say yes to is connected to a want
Mm.
in some way that connects to who I be and what do I want to achieve.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
either or. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it
yeah,
makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah. So
Okay.
that,
Yes.
yeah.
And then I want to ask you, um, you said you're finding the balance and it is you always check in, is it aligned with what I want to achieve or who I want to be? But do you check in with yourself also when you are taking care of your health? And do you have specific routines or some habits to take care of your health? Because if we have our health, we can create more wealth. But so I
Yes.
I always ask this because I am curious about how is the new female entrepreneurs, business owners focused on taking care of themselves.
Oh yeah, and I love that you bring this in and focus on this and ask all your guests that question because it is, I'm guessing everybody is very passionate about what they do, right? We are
Exactly.
driven. We want to share what we have. I mean, I can admit openly, I could sit at my computer for 12 hours straight, just having fun creating and doing, and oh,
Mm.
I'll build this and I'll create this and I'll record this and I'll do this. I love what I do. But yes, absolutely. I have a routine to make sure that my head, my heart, and my body are prepared and ready to allow me to deliver the best me whenever I am presenting myself,
Mm.
whether that be with my kids or my husband or my friends or my clients or the when I'm doing a live on
Mm.
Facebook or
Mm.
just writing an email, that if I can show up feeling strong, feeling good, then I can give more.
Mm.
And so my personal routine is when I wake up, and I actually wake up naturally. I don't do alarms anymore. I used to. I tried to be part of the 5 o'clock club. It is not part of my natural body. And so I'm now at a point in my life where I wake up naturally, which is still quite early. And I check in with my family, check in with my kids, and then I do some type of activity to bring my head to
Mm.
my best self.
Mm.
It can be anything from a meditation to sometimes I'm going straight to a yoga class in the morning. It depends on the day of the week, but always doing something that lets me ground myself to me, so that I can really check in with feeling good so that I can be good for others. That's
Mm.
how I like to kind of look at it, is like, do I feel good to be good for others in terms of being able to come forward from a place of peace and love and giving for the sake of really helping others rather than giving from the sake of getting. Because, we can all go through that where, I've got a kid who just started into college and it's a really pricey college and we're writing checks for this going, wow. And I'm so grateful for my business that I can even be in a position to write a check for it.
Yeah.
But then I don't want to be in an energy when I come back to promoting my products or my
Mm,
programs and saying, okay, anybody want this? Please buy it because I got a kid to pay for college. Like, I don't want to
yeah.
even come with that subconsciously. And so, yeah, I think it's so important. So I have a workout routine where I go somewhere else. I go to my gym
Mm,
with instructors that I love so that I can check out and let them I can just follow. I don't have to
yeah.
think. I can
uh,
follow. I love that. It lets my brain relax for a while.
yeah.
And then I do have a morning routine where I am really bringing myself into just feeling good, feeling centered, feeling very okay. Now, and I think a
So
lot of
I
people always
have a
think that I'm
question.
feeling.
Yeah, I have
Mm,
a question because um a lot of the women, um not everybody, but I think most of us experience that we are not all totally focused
mm,
all the time. Even if we want to, there are some days we are under the weather, headache, we have our period, or there has been some challenges that has kept us awake all night. And even though we do our routine, meditation, yoga, we work out and we do our yes and put us in the state of mind, but still we're not able to bring that 100%,
right.
not every day is the same, you know.
Very true.
Uh, do you have another like extra tools in your pocket that you say, okay, today I need to like screw a little
Mhm.
bit harder, or I have to push a little bit harder? Do you have extra tools to do that, or
So
do
yeah,
you just let it flow that, okay, this is
um,
how I'm
a
showing up
combination of
today?
the two. A
Yeah,
combination of the two. So
yeah,
when I was saying like I have kind of my morning routine, I didn't describe it because it's different every day.
yeah.
So I love that you brought this up because it does change. Like if there are days we just wake up in a bad mood. There are days where we physically, like you say, if you're on your period or you're going through menopause like I am, and I'm like, what the heck? How am I feeling like this right now? What's happening? But like just there's going to be a difference every day, and it's not necessarily about controlling it. So it's not
No.
about systematizing, well, if I do this and I do this and I do this every morning, I'll be good every day. That's not going to happen. That's just not real life, in my opinion, or in my experience at least. And so first, I give myself permission
Mm,
to adjust
mm,
based on, and this is kind of even when I'm teaching people how to have a really solid sales system, is the personalization piece of it is big. And you can even bring this just into the idea of a morning routine, is that when we are looking at a system, we want to have systems in place for our business, for our
mm,
life, but the flexibility and the personalization piece is what's going to make it sustainable.
mm,
And so if I wake up and I'm feeling off, we'll just call it that. If I'm feeling off, if I'm feeling grumpy, if I'm feeling mad at the world, and I'm like, I don't even know why, but I'm just angry,
exactly.
something's going on that you feel off, then I give myself permission to adjust my day accordingly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I think
I,
that is important because what happened with social media, because people can't, you know people do feel the frequency and people can see it on your face, and but not your, but generally I'm saying, but
yeah,
to be able to also communicate that we are not robots, we are human beings, and it's okay. And we who are like for seen as experts and so on, if we say it's okay, then other people who have been holding their breath to trying to be perfect and the same all the time can also relax and say, okay, it's okay if I have the day, like I'm feeling off today, or I'm not 100%, but I'll still be consistent and still deliver, even if it's not on 100% note. Yeah.
yes, we
So,
want to follow through on our promises. Like I go live every Wednesday morning. I'm going to show up no matter how I'm feeling because that's something I've promised my audience. But I will say when I start, hey, we're going to talk about this today. I am not feeling great, so it's going to be a lot shorter.
Mm.
Or, like I will let them know if I'm not feeling good because I don't want them going like, why is she flat today? Oh, well, maybe I'll move on. But instead, what it does is when they see, especially somebody who's leading, and all the women as entrepreneurs or gentlemen who are watching this, as an entrepreneur, you're a leader in some capacity.
Yeah.
You're leading your clients, you're leading the people who are watching you, you're leading your family, maybe. For them to see the imperfect
Mm.
come through, the acceptance of being imperfect, that allows others to accept their imperfections too. So it's really empowering.
It is.
So I love what you said, Risha, where there are days we feel less.
Yeah.
There are times where
Yeah.
I'm speaking on a live and I'm completely tongue-tied, and I'm like, okay, blah blah blah, hang on.
I
Talk
know,
again
I
for
know.
some reason, right? Like it's just that's real life, and when we can show up that way anyway, on the promise side of it. So where I was kind of starting with this from is we do want to follow through on the promises we make. Like if you have said to clients, I will be here at this time for this thing for you, you're going to show up no matter what. If you're going to go live and you're on your social media, you want to do that consistently. So you want to have those consistent pieces because that lets your audience rely on you and they can trust you. It's a trust building thing. And then also the other piece of that trust is being open and saying, like, I'm not feeling great today, so we might be a little shorter than normal, if that's okay. Or if you guys have questions and I am not in my same energy as normal, submit them again after if I don't answer the way that you'd love me to today. And I will get back to you when I'm feeling a little bit better because I want to make sure you're really getting the best of me.
Mm.
And so allowing that to be a part of your 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 day to day in terms of how you function, because we don't want to try and be perfect.
No, but
That's
and
too
it
hard for
also
us.
comes across as authentic, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
It comes and not necessary that we are trying to be perfect, but it comes across as authentic. It's okay, but she is herself, even if
Yeah.
she's not feeling. That is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna ask you because you are amazing with sales and your messaging is spot on, and you've been teaching this for a very long time. What kind of advice would you give to people who are just starting out with their business, startups, or want to grow their side hustle a little bit? What kind of advice would you give them?
I love this. Thank you. Great question. So the first thing is, I've said it before, check in with you every step of the way. Especially if you are new in your business, there's going to be so many ideas of do this, or you should be doing this, or follow this, or oh, this person made this, like all the posts that say, I made this much, like I made $7 gazillion in 3 days. Do you want my recipe? Like you can get so much info coming at you. And sometimes that can slow us down. A
Yeah.
lot of times, if we are bringing in too much info, or even just too many different voices, if we have too many different voices that we're listening to, every voice is a different path. And so you want to always check back in with you. And as you're coming at it, if you're in a stage of starting your business and you're learning and you're wanting to get that information, pick the personality that
Mhm.
resonates with you. Pick someone that feels like I could listen to that person. Okay, this
Mm.
person lives in a style that I would like to live. So
Mm.
it's not just do they have the success levels that you'd like, but are they a person that you would want to spend your time with or be around? Because the faster you can find someone to follow who kind of resonates with who you are, the more consistent the message will be, and the faster you can actually implement and get a full solid system in place. So that would be my first piece of advice for somebody who's new is be careful how many voices you're listening to, and really try and see if you can pull out the one or two that really resonate with you to go deeper with that rather than bouncing all the surface stuff,
Mm.
because all the free stuff on social media, that's all surface, right? That's going to get you lots of ideas, but not necessarily the depth. And then in regards to the actual sales side of it,
Mm.
is number one, I mean, the three things that I really believe that you want to have in place is number one, you want to make sure that you have all of the pieces of a solid sales path. And the way I teach them, I call it the pillar path. There are five. And I won't go into all that now because that's a whole teaching realm, but I can share in the notes as well. It's at carolynbishop.com/roadmap.
Yeah. Carol, Carolyn, I lost you. Just 1 second. There is no sound.
Okay, from my side.
Now I got you back.
Oh, good. Okay. Oh, I just got the sign. Your internet connection is unstable. So
Oh,
they
okay.
cut out for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so the first piece, of course, is really like seeing if you can find those voices to go deep and really get a system set in place rather than lots of surface ideas. And then when it comes to the actual sales of piece, the sales piece of it is making sure that you have all five pieces of what I call the pillar path.
Mm.
And if you do want to find out about that, it's carolynbishop.com/roadmap. That'll kind of give you an idea to the five pillars that I teach. And that is free. But if you're missing something, it can where if you're noticing you're getting ghosted a lot by people where you started a conversation, but then they disappear, or there's a disconnect in the relationship, like you're having to really work it, like, how do I connect with them? What can I say next?
Mm.
That means there's a missing pillar. If you're getting no-shows where people are booking things with you, but they're not showing up, that's a sign of a missing pillar. If you're having difficulty keeping in touch, like it's feeling like a lot of work, or it's just feeling awkward reaching out to them, like you're not sure what to do next. Those are all signs of a missing pillar. So the solution to that is having a complete pillar path. So that's number one in sales, is making sure you don't have any missing pieces.
Mm.
The second one is to double check that your pillars aren't disconnected, because you can have all five of them, but if they are not tightly connected, then what happens is the inconsistent sales, where you can get sales and they're great because you had the path there, but then you're like, okay, where'd everybody go? Or why isn't this working now? Like the flow is gone. And that can really start to lead to some other things when you've got a disconnected pillar path, where you start to doubt yourself. You're like, am I any good at this? What's happening? Or maybe my program's not good enough, or my product, or I need to change offers. And then people start bouncing around and shifting what they're offering and changing, or maybe I'll build this instead. And it's this perpetual flow of, why isn't this working? Or selling small. I hear a lot of entrepreneurs where they start to go, nobody's buying the big stuff, let me sell small. And
Mm.
so instead of the piece that they really know will change the lives of their perfect prospect, they're instead going, what do I think people will buy?
Mm.
And they're switching their focus. And that can look like putting things on sale and diminishing your own profits. It can look like readjusting how you're presenting what you know changes lives for people into this mini little thing. You're like, I hope you buy it because now it's not very expensive. Come on, it's really
Exactly.
cheap. Just somebody buy it, right? And we can get into that scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
And so those can be signs of disconnected pillars. So watching for those, whether
I lost you again.
whether
There you
internet.
are.
Oh,
There you are.
okay.
So you said that can feel like disconnect, and then we kind of,
Yes. Yeah, the disconnected pillars, if you're noticing yourself kind of, you can catch yourself in this going, oh, should I discount? Like Black Friday, should I give everything away for nothing? Or, or if there's seasonal sales, or maybe I should just sell this, even though I know this is what's going to really make a difference for people. And if you catch yourself trying to sell what you think will sell versus selling something that you really know is what's going to make the difference. Like I have different levels of my program. I've got the full, like, we're going to talk all the time type level of my program. And then I also have stuff that is very self-service, people can do on their own. So it's a lot less of an investment, very easy buy-in, but I know that they both make the difference. So I can be as passionate about selling either one. What you don't want to be doing is like, I'll just discount this so that somebody can buy, or let
fine.
me just make something that's really cheap so that I can actually bring in some money. that is where those are disconnected pillars, is causing that lack of sales flow.
I
And then
have
the
one
last,
more question around that because it did come up in my summit. Because a lot of coaches say, sell high end tickets, if you know that your program is worth, a certain amount of money, then, you know, keep that. Like you were saying, don't reduce it or don't put it on sale just because you're hoping that somebody will buy it. But a high-end ticket is not necessarily a natural thing for people to sell because they're not surrounded by that kind of clients. And so it's like, yeah, you can sell that. What I experience with a lot of my clients is that they can create really valuable programs and services, but they don't know, and they know, okay, this is worth maybe $20,000, let's say, or maybe not 20,000, $2,000. Let's say that is the program they want to sell. Doesn't matter. But they don't know how to get to the client. They don't know how to get in front of the high-end ticket clients who can invest that kind of money because they are not surrounded by that kind of people. So
right.
what will your advice be? How do they get in front of them?
Great question. And that is the pillar path. That is the pillar path that I'm inviting you to. And again, it's the carolynbishop.com/roadmap, because it's like dating.
Mm.
When you are finding the perfect prospect, whether you're talking for a $47 a month membership or whether you are talking a $20,000 high-end private coaching experience, then those are different people. Those are different people at different stages, maybe, of their business. They are at different stages of belief in themselves. They are at different stages of belief in the process and the ability to generate that, because people aren't ever going to invest 20 grand in anything if they don't believe that they're going to make that 200 fold. Like,
Exactly.
they're like, oh, that's nothing, let's go, because they're still in those stages of, I don't know if what I have is going to sell like that. I don't know if I'm in position to do that in my life, or whatever, wherever that doubt is coming from. It's not a match. So either one, first of all, you want to be really clear on who your person is for the different offers. That's really a key piece, because you want to talk to them, and then for that person, having the 5 pillars in place. It's a journey you're taking them on, just like dating. And because, for example, if you were in the dating world, I've been married for 24 years now, but I can imagine being in the dating world. If I was like out dancing with my girlfriends and some guy walked up to me and said, "Hi, I'm Jim. Let's go on a date."
Mm.
I'd be like, "Jim, who are you and why are you even talking to me? First of all, I'm married. I'm happily married. I have no desire in dating." Like, you'd be like, "Who is this guy and why? Like, what the heck?" People do that in business a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
where they're like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Let's get on a call together." That's like saying, "Hi, nice to meet you. Let's go on a date."
Oh
So
God.
there,
Well, you were just this just popped up in my mind. I have to put in just 1 second. It's good that we are recording this, so I can take this part out.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. So this just made me think of something that happened to me last year when I was in Women's Economical Forum conference in England. I was standing there and talking to somebody about a limiting belief I used to have, and she came into the conversation while I was just explaining the limiting belief and realizing something, that I have dealt with it already, but I didn't get to that part. And she said, I need to coach you, and I was like, excuse me?
Nice to meet
No,
you. Let's go on a date.
no,
Well,
I was like,
that was nice to meet you. Let's get married.
yeah. I was like, what? Who are you? And what's your name? And what's your background? And, for me, that was so strange because she didn't even hear the whole conversation. And I never got to tell the whole process because we were talking about some completely different things. And then, yeah, I need to coach you.
And that can come from a place, honestly, where she may have been great in her heart, thinking, "Oh my gosh, I can help this woman so much." And we can do that. Like I was saying, I do that sometimes in my business where I'm like, "Oh, I have this great new idea. It's awesome. Does anybody want it?" Right? And we can jump those steps because of passion. So, if you're catching yourself doing this, for anybody listening, it's not that you're bad. There's nothing wrong with you. A lot of times it comes from excitement or passion, or just you have complete belief in what you have to offer can really make a difference for people. So you're like, "Here, take it. Somebody please, I can do that." So it's often coming from a good place, but you're right. That was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Let's get married."
Right? It was
What
like,
the heck?
yeah, so there was a kind of that brought this back, what you were saying, that maybe find the right prospects before you kind of and then build the trust. But so if you find yourself in that situation where you have a high-end ticket and you want to try to find the right kind of clients, or nobody's buying from you at this moment, then check out Bishop Carolyn's page and see if you're missing some of the pillars, and do join the Facebook group, and where you can find all the information and get so much value, people, because I am there, and every time I go in there, I always learn something new. I always get something, and the best part is the community and all the amazing women. And so I'm going to share all of the links either above or below the video. Do make sure to check it out and connect with Carolyn. Thank you, Carolyn, so much for your advice, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing your story and inspiring so many people to have an impact on the world. I truly, truly appreciate you and your everything that you do.
Thank you, Risha. And I will add the systems that I teach. If you're selling high ticket, if you're selling a low $47 membership, they work. It's not about one is designed for one type. Sales is sales. It's like a relationship and dating. It is, you're courting people along the way, you're building trust, you're seeing if you're a match, you're building all of those pieces. That it needs to be there for a $7 sale, and it needs to be there for a $7 million sale. It's
Yeah.
the same pieces. So yeah, so thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my community. I love when I see you in there. You bring
Yeah.
such a wonderful energy, and thank you for everything you're doing for all the women who are listening in, and the gentlemen who are listening in here.
Yes.
Because Risha, I love being in your space. You have just such a giving heart, and you do make such a positive difference. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Okay,
thank you.
guys, stay connected, and until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself and to others. Bye.